And ladies and gentlemen, the 2021 NBA champions, your Milwaukee Bucks.
As of recently, the NBA has had lots of things going on. With the recent 2021 NBA championship taking place and some beef between certain players, the world of the NBA has been going crazy. A certain feud has been going on also, and it's been keeping fans interested in the sport even more than usual. In today's video, we will be going over the horror record behind the NBA stars' bitter feud, why the Bucks really won, and some other NBA news. You won't want to miss this video. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. Now, onto the list. First up, Chris Paul and Scott Foster talking before the game. Before the recent game where the beef really started between these two, Chris Paul and Scott Foster were seen talking to each other in a long chat prior to the game. NBA personality Skip Bayless tweeted, "Chris Paul did not look all that happy with whatever Scott Foster kept saying to him before the game. These two really seem to be beefing on a regular basis. Their meetings on camera seem to be very tense. So, what happened between these two? Why do they seem to hate each other? Well, stay tuned to this video to find out why." Next up is history between the two. Chris Paul and Scott Foster have a long history between them. Paul has won none of the past 12 postseason games officiated by him. That record dates back to 2008, and the only exception was when Foster officiated a first-round Suns victory over the Lakers this postseason, but Paul did not play. This history is deep-rooted in the sport and the losses Paul has taken while Foster has been in charge of the game. They must really hate each other for what's been going on. It must be frustrating for Paul as he just can't catch a break. Next up is accusations. Foster's history with Paul goes beyond that 12-0 record though, with the two also having clashed in on-court arguments over the years. Last season while playing for the Thunder, Paul was called for a technical foul by Foster. He was accused of trying to buy time to challenge the call by tying his shoe in what ended up a 104-102 Game 7 loss. Scott Foster walked over to me and told me, "Chris, you ain't got to do that. I got them sweeping up the floor," Paul said about the tech at the time. These two just really seem to not be getting along, and it's not doing well for the sport. Next up is Bucks win the 2021 NBA championship. 50 years since the Milwaukee Bucks won their last world title, Giannis Ugo Antetokounmpo poured in 50 points to bring the Larry O'Brien Trophy back to Wisconsin. It was poetic justice in every sense of the phrase and was nothing short of vindication for a franchise that stood by its core pieces for years. Until that moment, after all, the organization was often ridiculed by fans and media alike. Past playoff defeats and criticism over their franchise cornerstone rendered them victims of narrative for the better part of the Mike Budenholzer era. With the ways they crumbled in the face of adversity, it wasn't completely unwarranted either. And though they were a more complete and refined team this time around, they still seemed to be the underdogs in mostly every playoff series they took part in. But they were not to be denied a third chance at a championship this season. So, how did they win? Stay tuned to find out. The Milwaukee Big Three. Against Phoenix, they played like superstars. All series long, the Bucks trio paced the team down the stretch, made crucial plays to keep them afloat, and hit timely shots. Chris Middleton's 40-piece takeover in Game 4 was followed by Drew Holiday's two-way explosion in Game 5, where he was responsible for 24.3% of Milwaukee's points and 59.1% of their assists. Beyond their starting crew, the team's next man-up mentality was clear. Pat Connaughton was, in many ways, the unsung hero for Milwaukee in this series, with timely scoring and unbridled energy. He shot the three ball at a 44.1% clip after shooting 37.5% in the past three playoff series. Bobby Portis, who quickly became a fan favorite, poured in 16 crucial points in the series-clinching win. Superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo. Superstars for a team like this really matter, and for all the Bucks' whole team to struggle for the title, none of it would have happened without Giannis Antetokounmpo. After all the criticism that built up the past 2 years, Giannis understood the simple reality of the situation. When you're the two-time MVP in the finals, the buck stops and starts with you. In the process of being a part of the team, he made sure to prove everyone who thought wrong of him. The Bucks lived and died with him. A hard-fought 6-game series later, they are world champions. Next up is defense wins a championship. This series in a nutshell adheres to another testament to the years-old maxim, the fact that defense wins championships. The Milwaukee Bucks entered the series as the best defense in the playoffs with their league-leading 105 points per game allowed, given up per 100 possessions. It was all they needed. It wasn't just their defense that set them apart. It was also their versatility in the games. Their presence on the the court was second to none. Defensive plays were the difference makers for the Bucks. It was the core identity of them, and they had all the faith in the world in who they were. Next up, champions win championships. The 4 straight wins against the team that ousted them last year should have been foreshadowing enough that great things were coming, but then they came back from an 0-2 deficit against all league greats, and then they did it again and again. More than anything else, the Milwaukee Bucks won 16 postseason games by working each day to deserve it. Throughout this run, the team refused to dodge their demons from last year, stood up to the challenge of facing an unbeatable super team, and overcame 0-2 deficits twice. They had their trial by fire and passed with flying colors. This is what champions are made of. Next up is, success was on their minds the entire time. The Bucks were not the ones who conceded sweeps to the Miami Heat and Toronto Raptors. All season long, they had long-term playoff success set in their sights. It showed in their roster acquisitions as much as in their constant on-court experimentation. The adjustments were there after their losses, and they adapted and got better with every game and play. This is why they are top-ranked in defense, as they had even more options. They could adapt to each situation, and it eventually worked for them. Their changes and adaptation led them to their win in the championship, and the rest was history. And that's the end of the list. The NBA is really heating up as of late. We know that the landscape is constantly changing, but it's great to see something like the Bucks come out with a win. They put so much effort into their games and come up with new changes for the team. They adapted to every situation and constantly changed up their game plan. This led them to winning the NBA championship and everyone realizing what effort they put into their team plans. Other teams are going to take note of what happened this year and add this sort of plan to their own teams. We could see the next championship an even closer game between many more teams, as they will be using similar tactics. In terms of Chris Paul and Scott Foster, it's just annoying to see. Everyone seems to be annoyed by both of them as they act very childish. This sort of thing shouldn't be happening in a professional game like basketball. They should put away their differences with each other and just play normally. A referee shouldn't take advantage of situations like these. We should be seeing professional referees refereeing a professional player. Paul has lost his last 12 playoff games when Foster has been on the officiating crew. The one time Paul's team won a game with Foster installed as a referee came when Paul was held out when he was in the league's health and safety protocol during Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals. Phoenix won that game on the infamous Valley Oop dunk by DeAndre Ayton at the buzzer. Paul's grievance with Foster was put to the test in Game 6 of the 2021 NBA Finals. Foster was part of the officiating crew for the Thursday night game with the Suns facing elimination as they trailed 3-2. Paul and the Suns already lost one game in the finals that was officiated by Foster, so it wasn't looking good from the get-go. Paul and Foster really need to sort out their differences so the sport can be healthier. It's not great to predict a game purely off of who is refereeing the game. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let us know down below what you thought about the video. Also, tell us what else we should talk about with the NBA. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on. Thanks for watching!